Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Emma Lefebvre, and recently I've been really enjoying doing mixed media spreads in my mixed media sketchbook, and today I wanted to show you how to do a really simple and fun peach spread. So let's jump in and get started. Okay friends, so today I wanted to do a fun fruit spread with you. So I've been really enjoying doing different fruits in my sketchbook. I did this one on pears, which is probably still my favorite. I kind of wish I filmed this one. I did this really fun sketchy one of apples, and then with my patrons I did this one of figs, which was also a lot of fun. We did this for a Patreon live. And so today I wanted to show you how I use mixed media to create one of these fruit spreads, because they're very easy to do and very freeing, because my approach to it is to try and just make it as messy and sketchy as possible and enjoy all the imperfections that come with the different mediums that I like to use. So I am painting in this sketchbook, which is a Strathmore 500 series sketchbook. It's a mixed media sketchbook. The paper is on the thinner side. It's very, very smooth. So with watercolor, you tend to get a lot more of those blooms, which in a lot of instances people don't really like, but that's one thing I do like about the sketchbook. It does give a lot of texture and looseness to my work, so I've been really enjoying that. I've also been using my colored pencils, the Caran d'Ache Luminance ones, but I also have Prismacolor Premier, which I started out with. These are very expensive. You do not need to get expensive colored pencils to use for any of this kind of mixed media work. Use what you have, even Crayola, it's totally fine. It's just more fun to use for the texture. And then what I also recently did is I created this dry gouache palette. So this little mini palette is from Christy Rice. She created the tin, which is so cute, and I thought it'd be perfect to create a dried gouache palette. So I love gouache, but to use gouache right out of the tube can be a bit of a headache for me, because I'm always back and forth in my office. It's really hard for me to like sit down and squeeze out the fresh gouache and make sure I use the right amount, and then it just dries up and the consistency isn't the same. So I decided to take my designer gouache from Winsor & Newton and create a dried gouache palette. Now, the only thing with using gouache that has already dried, you can reactivate it, obviously, but the consistency is not going to be as creamy as it would be if you used it out of the tube. But you still get a lot of the opaqueness, and it's just fun to use a different medium. So I'm going to throw some of this into this painting, my watercolors, my pencils, who knows, maybe markers, I have no idea. But I'm going to show you how I've been approaching mixed media lately and take you along for the ride. So I am going to start with watercolor first. I always tend to start with watercolor. It is the most transparent medium, and it is a great medium for base layers. So I'm going to grab my flat brush, and even though we're going to be doing some peaches, which I don't know if I said that yet, which is like a round, obviously a round object, I've been really enjoying using my flat wash, and I don't know why. I've just been really enjoying using this brush. I just find it gives me a different shape and looseness to my work when I use this brush, so that's what we're going to be using. All right, so I'm going to start by mixing up kind of like a light yellowy orange. And I'm just going to start doing this like rounded shape like so, and then right beside it, another kind of C curve. Then I'm going to slowly add in other colors and grab some pink. And I'm just going to let the watercolor do its thing. I don't want it to be perfectly blended out or these perfect bleeds. I just want them to be fun peach kind of shapes. I'm going to go darker with some of them, and I'm going to use this pink instead of like a red. I'm going to try and go this way with this one. Some of them are going to touch. I like when they kind of overlap a bit, because when I go back in with my colored pencils, it's really fun to add some shading so it looks like they're overlapping. It's a lot of fun. I'll show you how I do that once we get to that area. Now, obviously it does not have to be perfect at all. Okay, I want to do some that are kind of open. So I'm going to do a yellow, yellow kind of circle. Make it a little bit lighter as we get to the center. Leave a little dip there. I'm going to grab a little bit of red and I'm going to tap it towards the center and just let the color kind of bleed out. Okay. A little bit more yellow maybe. And I'm not trying to perfect it, I'm just trying to add more color and just kind of have fun with it. Maybe a little bit more pink. Why not? You can even drop a little bit of color in there to repel the watercolor and get some of those intentional blooms. Like, see that bloom? I think that looks so cool. Like it's going to end up looking really nice with all the texture. And if you don't like those blooms, you can always just go over top of it. But I actually really like the texture that it provides. You can even add a little bit of brown in there. Now this paper does dry fairly fast, so keep that in mind, but this should be really, really loose. I'm going to do another open one over here. I want more yellow. It's kind of like two C curves. I'm just going to fill it all in. Grab a little bit of pink down the center. Maybe a little of the burnt sienna, because the seed is going to be there. And then a little bit more pink kind of around the edge. But again, very, very loose. And I like how different each peach kind of looks with all this. I'm going to do a slice of one. I'm going to go across. Maybe overlap that a little bit. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of pink around the edge. Actually, I want it to be like a little chunk kind of taken out of the middle, so I'm just going to mop that up. Like that. There we go. That looks like a peach slice. I'm going to drop a little bit of water in here just to repel the color a bit, get a fun bloom. Like that. Then I'm going to do a couple more. Again, I'm trying to overlap just because I think it looks really fun when they're overlapping each other. I'm just being super loose with these shapes. Like this one's pretty intense. Let's do, should I do another open one? No, I'm going to do another closed one, full one. And I don't really have like a way that I go about this or a certain composition that I follow. I don't have like a reference photo that I'm looking at. I'm just playing and just seeing where things could fit, making mistakes. Honestly, like it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. So don't feel like it does. Just give yourself a little bit of grace and just give yourself permission to have fun, because it's all about playing around and seeing what kind of styles you like and all that. Okay, I'm going to do another slice just because I really like the way that looks. So another yellow slice here. Bit of pink around the edge. And then pink in there. One. This one's a little big. Like, look at that bloom. That looks crazy. But I actually kind of like it. I should have left a little bit more space in there. That's fine. That's good. All right. And I probably will add some leaves and stems, but I want this to completely dry first. So we'll come back once it's completely dry. Okay, so now that it's dry, I'm going to take my round brush, my size 8 round brush, and I'm gonna add some more detail to it. Now, if you don't have gouache, you can just add watercolor. You can go a little bit more, just define lines and stuff like that, or just layers if you like. You don't have to make it anything special, just little layers just to brighten some of it up if it's lost a little bit of its color. But kind of try to have fun with some textures. I like doing some dry brush, so I'll just completely dry my brush and I'll just use the tip to kind of skim across and get some fun textures, which you can just do with watercolor if you like. But if you do want to use gouache, I'm going to pull out my gouache here, and I don't have the best colors in here. These are not like go-to colors that I'd recommend. This is just what I had. I actually don't have a gouache yellow. This is a watercolor because my yellow had dried in the pan. So I'm going to activate this Opera Rose, which is insanely bright. Mix it with the yellow. I have some yellow ochre as well. And then maybe some red. And then, I will activate my greens because I do want to do some greens for the leaves. So with gouache, it's just more opaque. You can use it like watercolor. You water it down and it is very watery and transparent like watercolor. But if you want a more opaque medium, you just really kind of swish your brush in there a bunch and then it will activate and be a very opaque kind of watercolor look to it. Now it's up to you how you want to use it, but don't feel like there's only one way to do it. And really, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I don't have a direction on how I want to do this at all. Let's see, I feel like this pink is going to be way too intense. What if I mix it with yellow? Yeah, I think the pink is way too intense for this. But just, this is the time to experiment with colors and shapes and all that stuff. I do want to create a brown for the seed. So I'm going to mix my green and my red like that. And I am going to do like kind of these squiggly center for the seed. Like that. And it's just a really nice opaque medium. Obviously you can add a little bit more red in there if you like. You can go around the edge, add a little bit of yellow to it. And you can mix watercolor and gouache together, which is great. So don't feel like you can't. If you only have maybe like a white gouache, that works too. You can add white to any of your gouache and it will turn it to like an opaque color, which is kind of cool. So I'm just adding, I don't even know, just some brush strokes. I'm going to decide which one I want on top. So these two are kind of layering each other. I kind of want this one to be the one on top. And I'm just going to kind of dry brush to get a texture to it. Got to get our seed over here. And I'm literally just doing like squiggly lines. I feel like this is too bright. Not too bright, too dark, but that's okay. I might want to add some bright watercolor in here. This is a little, it's lost a little bit of its vibrancy. And you can kind of touch that seed and have it bleed a little bit. Like that. And maybe a little bit of darkness in here. Now, I'm also going to take this brown and I'm going to add stems to some of these peaches because I do want to add some, what's it called? Some leaves. I can speak, I promise. Okay. Oh, I want a little bit of red in the center here too. A little bit more bright red. Okay. So I'm going to take my greens. I have a bunch of different greens in here, and I'm just going to go right in with my watercolor. Add a little bit of yellow to it. And I'm just going to do some really shaky kind of leaves. I think this is a sap green, which is very like lime, bright neon kind of green. And then I'm going to use the oxide of chromium to kind of tone it down a little bit. It's a bit too bright. I have green behind here. And it doesn't, if you want to do more leaves, they don't have to be connected to a peach. You can just have some leaves in the background. Wherever you feel it might look nice to have a little bit of greenery. I'm just trying to go around the peaches. Very, very loosely. Then I'm going to grab the, what is it? Oxide of chromium of oxide? I don't remember what it's called. It's a little, like it's very opaque. I kind of want to add a little bit of blue to it. Or a purple. We could add purple to it. This is the time to experiment. So I have this blue here just to make it a little bit darker. And I'm just really, I like the blue. Yeah. Being so loose with it, you do not have to be precise. I feel like with this style, part of the appeal is that you don't have to have that steady, perfect hand. If anything, you want to be really, really loose and imperfect. I like it. And I'm just kind of drawing some loose leaves, and then you could even do just like outlines of leaves. And it's better if they're shaky. Just do some that are behind each other. Like that. Just filling in all the areas that you'd like. All right, and then once you're done this part, we can do some final layers with our colored pencils. So let's let this completely dry and then we'll come back. Okay, so now that it's completely dry, I'm gonna go in and add my colored pencils to this. So one thing I really like to do is add the shading, especially the ones that are overlapping each other. So like this, I will take a darker color, even though it's funny, the one that's on top is darker. So maybe I'll grab a brown. Let's do here, this one, for example. So the one that's underneath, which would be this one, I try and add the darker color and then shade this one so it looks like it's behind. Really, the one that's behind should be a little bit darker and the one that's on top should be lighter. But I didn't do that with the watercolor. So I'm adding a darker color to the one that's behind. And then what I can do when I'm done this part, I can always add my lighter colors, and maybe I'll get a brighter yellow as a highlight on top so it pops out a bit more. So that's one thing I really love about using colored pencils is that you can layer those light colors on top, and see how already it looks a little bit more three-dimensional by layering the shadows behind on the one that's layer behind. Sorry, I'm trying to make sense, but and I just, as I get closer to the center, I lighten up my pressure just so it's not as prominent, but I love the texture that it also gives. So I'm using like this, what is this, a terracotta color, which isn't really a peachy color. So if I wanted to, I could start blending another color into it to start transitioning. But also I'm not trying to make it a perfect blend or anything by any means. I'm just having fun and just adding color and texture and not overthinking it all. So I might add this peachy color over here, or even the terracotta this way. But I love the texture that it gives and the depth you can get by doing this kind of shading. And I just keep switching colors. Like, I don't really have a method to my madness. I know some people are like really serious about choosing proper colors and all that. And I'm just like, let's just see what this color looks like. Let's see what this color looks like. Maybe I'll even blend some red into here. Like so. And see how that just looks so much more three-dimensional now? I love it. Okay, so let's find another one that's kind of overlapped. So this one right here is a bit more overlapped. I'm just going to darken the peel there, but then add, this is actually not dark enough. I'm going to grab, let's see if I have a darker peachy kind of color. I feel like this terracotta is kind of like the closest thing to that. So I'm going to add the shadow here. Like so, and then just start blending it out. And try and go with like the curve of the peach as well. You don't want these like weird lines that are going this way and then that way. I'm trying to go kind of with the grain of the peach. Now also keep in mind, I am not a colored penciled artist. This is not my forte or my medium. So I'm sure there's a better way to blend and do all these fancy things with them that I am going to have to learn, which I do plan on, you know, figuring out a bit more. But I feel like the best way for me to figure it out is by doing it. So that's what I'm doing. So if I am doing anything wrong, if people are a bit more experienced with colored pencils than I am, you can always drop some techniques in the comments below. But for now, I'm just having fun. Grab some yellow. Like, I'm not trying to seamlessly blend colors, if that makes sense. But see how that one already looks like it's kind of a bit more behind? I feel like that it's too much of a line here. I need to do a bit more blending, but it's all good. And then I even like to take like a darker color. Is that dark enough? No, even darker than that. Like a dark brown. Get right in there to get some really nice deep shadows. So it looks like it's really kind of popping out. So I'll continue doing that for those. I can even add, you know, some of the darker colors here. I'm really just scribbling here. I'm going to continue doing that, but then I'm also going to start adding maybe more lines and stuff to my leaves. And like I said, one thing I love about it is that you can layer those really light colors on top of darker ones. You can add those like neon yellows and greens. And it's just so much fun to add to your work. So I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to let you kind of watch the process as I go along. But besides that, that's about it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of little mini tutorial of how I've been doing these fruit spreads, and that you'll enjoy doing them too. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and I will see you in our next tutorial. Okay, so there is the finished piece. I decided last minute that I wanted to go blue behind it to be a nice kind of contrast with the orange, because blue and orange are complementary or contrasting colors. And I like the way it turned out. It's just so much more colorful and fun. And that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in our next tutorial. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell so you're notified every time I come out with a new video, and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.